Fran Duffy's back. Can't wait to talk to him about the Combine, what he learned, what Eagles fans need to know about a few important prospects who will be on the radar over the next couple months, plus a close look at the tight ends in free agency as the Eagles look to potentially replace Dallas Goedert. Stay with us, coming up on the PHLY Eagles podcast. And welcome to the PHLY Eagles podcast on a rainy Tuesday, but a beautiful Tuesday. We are here live in the Xfinity studio, presented by Ashley, Bo Wolf, Fran Duffy. The man is back from the Combine. How you doing? How you feeling?
Doing great. Feeling not 100%. We're getting there.
It's been a
long week, but I love going out there every year, so it was great.
Well, let's just get in right to the pitch here because everybody needs to be checking out the Fran Duffy Die Hard Draft Guide. There truly is no better resource for NFL draft fans, but it is crazy because not only are you going to interviews in the morning and then workouts at night, and then like recording some content for YouTube, you also then have to like manually input all the results and all of the things that you've learned from the interviews. I mean, what an undertaking.
And then I wrote up like 3 to 4 sentences on all the position workouts and put all that in. So it was maybe a bit off a little more than I could chew, but it's all done. It's all in there.
I wish we could have helped you out a little bit more. Yeah.
We're getting through it.
It's all done?
All of the on-field stuff is in. All the on-field stuff is in. The only thing now, like even just like up until a minute ago, I was like, I'm still transcribing quotes and like getting interview quotes from the player press conferences.
Okay.
So like the one I literally just finished was Keontae Scott, the Miami safety, the nickel corner, talking about another Miami safety, Jacoby Thomas. Okay, so it's like, all right, let me grab that quote, put that into the Jacoby Thomas guide.
Do you know about the NFLPA transcripts? They don't have them for everybody, right?
But no, they don't have them for everybody. Okay.
But you've seen, so
I've got
it saves you a little bit of work.
That saves me a little bit of work because some of my
it's the NFLPA. That's not right, but
yeah. Some of my stuff was in those transcripts, so that saved me some, but not everybody. So I got some exclusives.
Well, check that out, and I continue to say, I mean, it is a wonderful resource, but it is also a living, breathing, changing thing. So it's like you can continue learning new things as you check out the stuff that's going on.
Literally, I just had a buddy just text me. It was like, Spencer Fano's wingspan wasn't in there. So I was like, oh yeah, you're right. Bang, 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 bang. I was like, all right, check it out. He's like, refresh. He was like, oh, there it is. And there you go. Very easy.
Was it a good wingspan?
Better than his arm length. Yes, which might be a conversation with, again, with like the arm length for players across the board is a little bit lower. So I wonder, I know last year, the scuttlebutt was that it was a young scout doing it for the first time at the Combine.
Okay.
A younger scout doing it for the first time at the Combine. And so the measurements came in a little bit shorter. So we'll see if that was the case again this year.
All right, well, let's stick on this. So tomorrow we begin Quackatology. EJ will be in. Fran will be with us on Thursday for a three-hander. We're going to whittle it down, 64 potential free agent signings for the Eagles to one, the most likely signing. But we're gonna focus on the draft stuff early in the show today. We are going to talk specifically about tight end later in the show because there's an interesting report out from Mike Garafolo, and I do think this is a very interesting situation for the Eagles at tight end. I'm very curious to see how they go about solving it. We will table that for later. Let's talk about the draft at the top here. Let's do it with On the Clock, presented by our friends at Ashley, Fran. And I guess let's start. Later on, we're going to sort of go through a couple, slots where I want you to give Eagles fans something to pay attention to, a day one tackle, a day one wide receiver possibility, a day two tackle, stuff like that. But before that, who were sort of the biggest movers? And I know that you don't use the combine results. You don't count it twice, as you say, right? So you don't overvalue it, but you're going to be putting on a big board pretty soon. Who are the biggest movers in either direction based on the way things transpired in Indianapolis?
In terms of like huge risers up the board. I'm like looking through some of my because I'm going to do an all NFL draft podcast, kind of covering like testing winner, workout winner, buzz winner, like in terms of the scuttlebutt out there, and then like just like a notable negative. So I've got like each position, some players picked out. I would say Monroe Freeling is one, the tackle from Georgia, where it's like, all right, it was a 1-year starter, so small sample since he was an underclassman, especially first-year starter. There weren't like confirmed measurables or anything like that on him coming into this event. So getting confirmed measurables, which were all outstanding, and then
he's a big guy, right?
Really big, 6'7", with outstanding length. I knew you were going to do it as soon as it came out. The outstanding length, but then he runs extremely fast. The jumps out of the gym, so it's like, all right, like he's probably out of the Eagles' range. But I think he's an interesting conversation because while the testing workout was phenomenal, the position workout was not great.
Okay.
But it was like bad for like reasons of like it was just like messy. It was like he didn't do the technique right on he hit the bag at the wrong time, so the coach like tossed him back, like get back in line, come back and do it again, kind of deal. And it was he like fell once, he like slipped a couple times, so it's like,
I mean,
but
I don't want
to
like falling in a workout.
Yeah, you're famously like don't fall on the Quinyon Mitchell against Denver.
Yeah.
But I think it was one of those where like there were some guys that were working out. And you're like, oh, like I don't know if that's a first round player. That to me like that was not the case while watching Monroe Freeling. It was more just like, all right, like
inexperience.
Yeah, it was just like, hey, like it was a messy workout. It wasn't a great workout.
Well, that also goes to the conversation we've had about now if you're the Eagles, are you as willing to take on a project? Because you don't have Jeff Stoutland, who you know is going to, get likely the maximum out of the player. Or do you have to try to focus on someone with a narrower band of outcomes?
Yeah, it's
I don't know.
I mean, it's without Stout, there are seeds of doubt.
Ooh, I like that.
For sure.
I would say knowing Howie Roseman,
Yeah.
I think he would invite that on.
Yes.
But it is still something that they have to consider.
To me, if they had like played it safe at every other position and they took more risks at offensive line, then I would say like, maybe it goes back. But to me, like they will always, because they've got faith in their player development.
Swing for upside.
I think they always will take the swings for upside. You hear Howie talk about that all the time on day 3, where it's like, we don't draft anybody if we don't think they have a path to become a starter. And so when you get into day 3, like that means that there's boom bust essentially, like, or those guys don't fall with starting potential unless there's some risk involved.
Now I do push back on that a little bit because I think that makes you think that you can predict that. Whereas what I mean? Like you're looking for traits. Yeah. Whereas sometimes at a position like linebacker or safety, the guy with starting upside is actually the guy who is not toolsy.
TJ Edwards.
Right.
Reed Blankenship.
Right. Exactly. And they're not going to draft those guys, and they signed them, credit to them. Yeah. But wouldn't you rather have drafted them instead of, I don't know, Sean Bradley or whatever?
Yeah, I think that
Sean Bradley, a very good special teams player.
Just retired.
Yeah.
T for Temple U. But I think that the idea.
You know what I mean, though?
Yeah, no, I think that's right. But I think it's understanding, because those two guys are guys where typically you can find players with that profile that fall out of the draft. And so, all right, we're going to take our swings there, and let's take Cameron Williams, who may or may not work, but it's at a big position. Jordan Mailata, a big position, the premium position. So I get the strategy. Yeah.
Okay. Monroe Freeling, anybody else who moved one way or another?
There was a lot of buzz on Malachi Fields, the wide receiver from Notre Dame.
Okay.
And see, like I'm kind of speaking out of both sides of my mouth here, because on one side, you really like that he worked out. On the other side, he didn't work out all that great.
Okay.
He's a guy that's got all the intangibles. I think that what's interesting is, and we can get into this part of it. I'm going to write about this in the All NFL Draft newsletter this week. One of the on the tip of everyone's tongue, like everyone was talking about, like from a scouting standpoint, it's like, man, like a lot of these guys aren't running. Like, a lot of these guys aren't working out. A lot of these guys aren't doing this. A lot of guys aren't doing that. And that's why I think we all like collectively need like just maybe like a 101 statistical analysis thing, because everyone's like, oh, this is the fastest draft class ever. And it's like, yeah, you cut the sample size in half. Like half these guys only only the guys that are going to run well ran. So if you're eliminating the bottom half that isn't going to run well, the numbers are all going to look better. But
Fran, I also heard on an unnamed other podcast I listened to after I listened to this show twice a day, that they were saying like 6, 7 years ago, like was when high school players started to like really get trainers and like, you know, like be more into it. And that's like now they're hitting the combine. Do you think there's anything like to that?
Well, so that's why when people like look at samples of, you know, select, oh, this is the, you know, the 10th percentile outcome for a play in terms of like, this was one of the best 40-yard dashes of any wide receiver that's been to the combine and the pro day ever. And it's like, well, to me, like I look at a 10-year sample and I only look at guys that are drafted for that reason, because it's kind of like streamlines. Like these are the guys that are talented enough. And to your point, and to the point that whatever the unnamed podcast was, yeah, I mean, training has gotten so much better. And these guys are, you know, how many guys do we see jump 43 inches in the vert that are, you know, at that size? Sonny Styles did it on Thursday, the linebacker from Ohio State. And everyone was like, oh my God. And then we saw like 3 tight ends do it. We saw pass rushers do it. We saw offensive linemen go crazy. So, yeah, I think there's something to be said for that too.
I think there is also an evolution of, once upon a time, it was like, if you do everything, you test everything, it's like, oh, you are proving to the teams that you are not scared, right? That like you are willing to put yourself out there, and that was taken as like an intangible plus.
Yeah.
And now it's like, okay, protect it. Only give the results that you know are going to be impressive. Otherwise, save it for your pro day, where it's like a much safer reveal.
Here's the thing, though. I think that is still the case.
I think
it's still the case.
Yeah.
And especially for the blue chip guys, especially for Sonny Styles, especially for you know, I'm trying to think of like who else was like the best. Spencer Fano, like from Utah, who's going to be a top 15 pick. Like you go, you do everything, and I'm telling, when they get drafted, that will be that'll be in the GM press conference. That will be in the head coach press conference. Hey, we saw this guy go to the combine and he did everything. One of the things that stood out to me about Jeremiah Love, like he goes to the combine, he's clear #1 running back, top 10 pick, and he goes not only like works out, but then does the whole position workout, and then does all the receiver work at the end of it, and then the last route of the receiver drills.
I mean, that's a guy who loves ball, man.
But the last route, it was like the deep over route. So he does the deep over route, and the quarterback puts it out in front. So he has to lay out for it. It falls incomplete, and that could have been it. But he was like, no, like run it back. I want another one. And then he went back and ran. Like to me, like that's like an intangible. That's what you. But like that's Devontae Smith, right? Like that's you know, think of like some of your favorite Eagles. Like that's how those guys. That's how they're made up.
But Devontae Smith didn't run. He didn't test at the combine.
Well, there was COVID. That was COVID year, so that was a little bit different.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah. And also, like, if you're a mid-round prospect, and you're not testing because you're hiding something, well, now you're putting it in the minds of the front offices. Oh, this guy's scared of some limitation. Mm-hmm. Whereas if you run and it's subpar, as you say, like, well, if on film, you don't look like the most special athlete in the world. If you don't test like the most special athlete in the world, that's fine.
Yep. And there's also something to be said too. Like if you are going to put all of your eggs in the pro day basket, what happens if you are?
Yeah, what if you get a cold?
You wake up, you got a head cold. You woke up, hey, like you rolled an ankle the day before, or your hamstrings a little tight. Now everything is in there. And I think the other big one, and I'm gonna run some numbers on this at some point. Because the college football playoff has gotten put in, where it goes deep into January, you know, the like Indiana and Miami played 40. Now it's like 47 days ago, whereas other guys that didn't have playoff runs, like they started training in the first week of December. So that to me, like, oh, if you have a deep playoff run, you want to wait till your pro day, perfectly fine. You're Jermod McCoy, you didn't play a down of football this year, and then you're not going to work out at the combine. Like, that's crazy. To me, that's a bad decision in my opinion. So I don't know.
All right, that'll close the book on the Clock, presented by Ashley. Now, there's a vlog up on the PHLY YouTube, which
shout
people
out to
can
Lindsay.
see. Great job by Lindsay putting that bad boy together. But a few other like sights and sounds of your week. Tell us about it. Actually, before we get to that, I have a follow-up question on you talking to like people in front offices and stuff as you go through this process. Do you find that like this is the time of year when you are still getting very accurate information, or are you starting to get spin yet about like, oh, we're not interested. We're not going to be interested in that guy.
So I usually stay away from that. Okay. I usually stay away from.
You're just talking about.
I'm just talking about players, individual, and sometimes I can like read into like you might talk with somebody and be like, oh, like what do you think of like these 3 guys together? And it's like, oh, okay. Like, all right, you kind of piece them, connect some dots. But I usually, it's like, hey, what do you think about this guy? You were in the school. Like, what did you see from him? Okay. What's his character like? That kind of thing. So for the most part, guys are up front. Okay. For the most part.
All right. Give us some sights and sounds.
So shout out to Lindsay, because it was Lindsay's idea a couple weeks ago. Like, oh, you should do a vlog from, and send me a bunch of videos and we'll put it all together for the end. So it occurred to me after the first day that I did not do a good job of like collecting. So I'm like, all right, Wednesday and Thursday, I'm going to just try and record as much as I can. It was fun. It was a look inside of what's going on. And it was like, all right, I'll try. The challenging part was to not make it feel repetitive. Like,
sure.
Because there are some places where I can film and some places where I can't. Like, I can't be like doing stuff inside Lucas Oil Stadium during drills and stuff. So it was fun. Yeah, it was a little peek inside. I would say, like, go check out on our YouTube page, on the PHLY YouTube page. It's under the video section, and day in the life of the combine.
And we do have a picture of the shrimp cocktail.
The famous shrimp cocktail.
The famous shrimp cocktail that EJ felt the need to cut up.
Well, so this is the exact, because I'm pretty sure the one he took was the picture of mine, because his was like I was sitting next to him.
Oh, interesting.
So this is from the front angle, over the top angle. His was from the side. I promise I did not notice that he was cutting his shrimp up. Mm-hmm. And if I had, I would have rightfully called him out on that. I mean, come on.
Yeah. I think there are a lot of things to bag on EJ about. I think
cutting
up for shrimp is weak, but I'm happy that he is not beaten back by it. I'm glad for him that he is continuing to stand with it.
I would expect nothing less.
Don't let us yuck his yum.
Of course.
Now you sent us this photo.
So look. Obviously, I probably talked with a couple hundred players. I was in on a bunch of player press conferences. This is Jake Slaughter, the center from Florida. And I walk up to this guy and I was like, there is no way this guy is a college prospect.
Look at this guy.
You cannot tell me he is 22 years old. He's not. The funny part is he's not like some 25-year-old, like 6th-year senior. He's of normal college age.
Is he really?
Yeah, he's not.
I mean, look at him.
Yeah.
The guy looks mid-50s.
I mean, like, it looks like he very much enjoys like bird watching and what is it?
So you sent it to me and EJ, yep. and obviously I got to get going here. You say, I'm sorry, this man must be older than EJ. There's no way he's a college prospect. I said history professor looking ass. EJ said, ask him if he's seen Superbad.
Call back. Yep.
Little callback. He said he wrote Superbad. Then we really got going. My man better get his workout in before the 5 p.m. dinner reservation. Pre-game pump-up songs, a Civil War audiobook. Can I bring my CPAP machine to the medical check? First rookie with a Cialis endorsement. EJ says, told the Jags it's not the heat, it's the humidity in his formal interview.
That was a good one for EJ.
I said, pausing before the 40 to insert his arch support insoles. Request cookies and cream, fudge swirl, and pistachio for the pre-con. Really, I mean, it was a nice half an hour we had on the text thread with that guy.
Yeah, that was to me, that was one of my highlights for sure.
All right. Well, hopefully that was a nice highlight for you guys. We're going to take a break. On the other side, we're going to get into some of these specific slots that Eagles fans need to pay attention to as far as Fran is concerned. We're going to start with first round tackles. So he mentioned Monroe Freeling. Tell us and think about, as we go to break, if there is anybody that you think is a likely first-round tackle prospect for the Eagles. We'll do second round or day 2 tackles, day 3 tackles as well. Stay with us. Fran Duffy, much more draft Eagles talk coming up. Let me tell you about a local business that has been helping Philly homeowners and their businesses stay pest-free. I am talking about our friends at Evans Pest Control. Not some giant national chain. This is a local, family-owned, community-focused pest control company right here in the Philly area, and they have been earning the trust of our neighborhoods for years. I live in the city. I can tell you from experience, pests, they're not knocking. They just show up. And when you need some help clearing out the pests from your house or your business, Evans is the place to call. They use state-of-the-art equipment, safe and effective treatment options, and their techs go through continuous training so they're equipped to handle anything from rodents, insects, and termites to bed bugs and more. So all you got to do is if you see signs of pests or you just want to prevent them before they start, reach out to Evans Pest Control and visit evanspestmgmt.com to schedule your free consultation.
Do you really want Jalen Hurts returning punts? What about Devontae Smith playing nose tackle? No, of course not. It's not worth the risk, the time, or the money. You keep your stars focused on what they do best, and the same ideas apply to your business. For small and mid-sized businesses, competing with bigger companies isn't about working harder, it's about working smarter. With competition heating up, you can't afford to fall behind. AI goes way beyond ChatGPT, and it can get overwhelming fast. That's why having a trusted guide like Togo matters. Instead of buying expensive AI tools, Togo helps you build exactly what you need at a fraction of the cost. Togo streamlines your operations by handling customer service, accounting, order management, logistics, admin, data entry, and even complex multi-step processes without the cost of building it all in-house. Every engagement starts with free process mapping, and Togo doesn't bill a dime until the real work begins. Programs start as low as $1,000 a month and are built to scale without breaking the bank. Visit Harness Togo and mention PHLY for a free operational assessment.
Back on the PHLY Eagles podcast, Bo Wolf and the great Fran Duffy. Let's get into it, Fran. We've got, I believe, 13 different little buckets here that we want to talk about as far as people to get on Eagles fans' radars. If you are beginning to get into the draft process, as I am, let's start with day one tackle because we've talked about, in theory, that would be the ideal pick for the Eagles this year. You get a Lane Johnson replacement. If you want one, the first round is the time to get it. This offensive line needs to be turned over at some point. Is that where the strength of this draft might be, around 23? And if it's not Monroe Freeling, as you said, who's probably going to go too early, who would be the person who is likely to be in that sweet spot?
Yeah, I think one guy to keep in mind, and he could very well go early because his talent dictates, to me, looks like a guy that would go top 10, top 12. That is Kadyn Proctor, the offensive tackle from the University of Alabama. 3-year starter, was a big-time recruit coming out of Iowa, actually initially committed to the University of Iowa, then flipped, goes to commit to Nick Saban in Alabama. Plays there, starts as a true freshman, talking 6'6", 300. I mean, when he first got to campus, he was getting close to four bills there. Big boy, but a freaky athlete. Like that's the thing, is that he is not like some big slug. He is explosive. He is powerful. Really, really fun player. So then Nick Saban retires. He goes in the transfer portal, goes to Iowa. I don't think he actually even played in spring ball. I think he got there and immediately regretted his decision. And was like, okay, I'm going to. He went to school the first couple months.
I hadn't really thought about what it was going to be like to live in Iowa.
Yeah, well, go back to Iowa because he's from there. But yeah, it was like, I kind of miss Alabama. Yeah. So gets back in the portal, goes back to Alabama. So that was a little weird. Plays in 2024. I watched him last summer off the 2024 season. I was like, man, this guy is phenomenal. So explosive, so powerful. Then I find out he tore his labrum and played in September, played his entire sophomore season with a bum shoulder and was still moving people off the ball. The flash plays were phenomenal. Gets the surgery after, missed the team's bowl game. From what I understand, came in really heavy again to start this season, and it was very up and down. I was really high on him coming into the year, top five type player. Loved the profile, but came in a little heavy. Gave up some pressures, gave up some sacks early on in the season, got into playing shape, and then was better down the stretch. So I would say watching him, a lot of his issues in pass protection probably would get mitigated by going inside the guard. He's got the arm length and the size, all that stuff to play tackle. But so when I see the plays that he's given up off the edge, I'm like, that wouldn't be an issue at guard. I do think there's a little bit of Mekhi Becton there. Mekhi Becton at that size, crazy athlete. We remember what he did at the combine a few years back. He ended up being a top 7, top 8 pick for the New York Jets. Has turned into a solid starting guard. It was a really good guard, a Pro Bowl guard for the Eagles in 2024. So I do think there's a wide range of outcomes with Kadyn Proctor. I compared him to Leonard Davis last summer, who was the number 2 pick back in the early 2000s and had a really long, really good career. But it's a tricky one. Now, I think when you're picking at 23, that's a profile you can take a swing on because of what the upside is.
If we think that this running game is going to be moving to more outside zone stuff,
right?
Does he make sense as a guard? If this is going to be more of a movement heavy position?
Well, here's the thing.
Okay.
So watching him up close and watching the position workout. So the field drills workout on Sunday. He was really impressive.
Okay.
For a guy that size, and I'm just going to go really quickly to one line I wrote from the for a guy, and this is from the draft guide, so freebie, okay? For a guy as big as he is, he gets out of his stance so well, particularly as a puller. But even in pass rush drops, I was really impressed. The wave and mirror drills, he got caught guessing a little bit, so that's just like not doing well in the drill. But the flashes are phenomenal. Like again, like I think he's scheme diverse. I do think that he can play in any system. And honestly, we saw like Mekhi Becton, good in his own blocking system when he was here in Philadelphia. So I do think that there's scheme versatility there. Now, do I like him more? Just like mashing guys, double teams the point of attack? Yes. But I think that he's got the freaky athleticism to be able to be scheme diverse.
And is the expectation right now that Freeling, Mauigoa, Fano, that means Proctor is like the fourth O-lineman off the board?
If you told me that Proctor was the second tackle off the board, I'd believe it. If you told me he was the sixth tackle off the board, I'd believe it. I think there's a range there that's tough to kind of pin down with him.
All right. And the Eagles will feel confident that they have a good sense of Alabama prospects, given their connections in that building.
Yes.
All right. Now, we have talked about, and EJ mentioned it yesterday, that the idea of looking for a tackle on day 2 is daunting, and history backs that up. We've talked about it before if you've been with us. If you want a Pro Bowl caliber tackle, you pretty much got to find him on day 1. And so if you maybe are setting your sights a little bit lower and you think that there's enough depth in this class and you're looking for a day 2 caliber tackle prospect for the Eagles to pay attention to, who would that be?
Real quick, a note from Daniel Jeremiah a couple hours ago. There are 7 tackles with potential to go in the first round. After that group, I could see a gap to the third round. So if you want one, you're going to probably have to take one higher than you'd like in round 1. So that's just a note from Daniel Jeremiah. I would say that one guy that I'm higher on than consensus that I think has got starting ability, and I think that on day 2 you're probably talking about, just because again he's not getting first round buzz, would be Caleb Tiernan from Northwestern. Came in 6'7", just over 320 pounds, short arms for the position, but to me, like when I'm watching him, I see a guy that's got really efficient movement. I think the athleticism is not going to blow you away. He ended up, he verted 35.5 inches, which is an outstanding number, 111 inches in the broad. Those are the only tests that he did at the combine. But this, to me, like I saw a guy that was athletic enough, certainly, to be able to hang out in the NFL as a starter and be able to play at a well enough level. Now, I don't have like high end starting grade, so that's why I don't think he's going to be a first round caliber talent. But I think at the end of the day, like day 2, round 2, round 3, I like Caleb Tiernan. To me, like he's got experience playing both left and right. There's a lot to like there.
You get a sponsorship deal with Tiernan?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Make that happen.
Yeah. I like Tiernan. And to me, like second or third round, I think is the sweet spot for him.
I was at Tiernan
okay.
on the morning of, it was the year that the World Cup started on my birthday. This was in 2010.
Okay.
They were one of the only places open in the morning for the first game. I believe this was the South Africa World Cup. South Africa, Shibelele had scored a sweet goal. And I get a call. I had taken the day off. Real birthday uncle kind of thing to do. I was still an intern at the Eagles.
At the Eagles, yeah.
Got a call from Dave Spadaro.
What are you doing?
No. It says, guess what?
Wait, hold on. No, it was 2010?
2010.
What was it? Oh, you're getting a job?
It says, got a full-time offer for you.
Nice.
So there you go.
That's a big day.
Shout out to Tiernan.
Sure.
Shout out to Dave Spadaro.
You saying sponsorship and talking about a place just reminded me. Lindsay, remember in the vlog where I said like I could really use a Wawa in Indianapolis. Turns out, because I was talking to somebody that works for the Colts that day, and I was like, yeah, I really love it because someone that has been in the Philly area, and was like, oh yeah, I could go for Wawa. He said, we actually have 3 Wawas here now, and one is over by the Colts facility. Had no idea.
Oh, really?
Now it's a little bit of a drive. I wouldn't have been going, but turns out there is a Wawa out in Indianapolis.
There's some in Florida too.
Well, yeah, they're branching.
They're spreading. Yeah, they're spreading.
There we go. All right, how about a day 3 tackle, and then we'll move off of tackle.
Yep. Obviously, these are swings you're taking at this point. Remember, the Eagles took 2 last year on day 3. Do you think they would take another one on day 3 after taking those 2 guys?
I think that's unlikely.
Yeah.
I think you're probably right. But
yeah, so it's a tough one. I ended up going with a local guy from, I want to say he's from Chester County, but I won't say it exactly. So Drew Shelton, the left tackle from Penn State. He is from Downingtown. So Downingtown, PA. I went to Downingtown West. I kind of like Drew Shelton. From what I understand, it's more like day 3, late round grades, but he's got really light feet. He's not a power guy. He's not a like move people off the ball. He's a little bit undersized for tackle. So some people are talking about him for center. I personally think that he checks the boxes from a size standpoint of tackle. Yeah, I mean, that would be a guy that if he fell to day 3, you could definitely do worse. And if you're going to go into like stretch zone, outside zone scheme, I think that Drew Shelton, I mean, he's got that skill set to be able to hang in that kind of system.
He's played both right and left.
Yep.
I see in the draft report.
Played some left guard as well. So there's a proven versatility there with Drew Shelton.
All right, good stuff. That will wrap up the tackles, but we've got a few more spots to get to on the other side. We're going to be talking about some edge guys, some tight ends, some corners, some safeties. Stay with us on the PHLY Eagles podcast. Find exceptional flair on the season's top styles only at Ashley's President's Day sales event. Discover hot buys starting at just $349 or take advantage of no-interest financing for 60 months. With styles like this 5-piece sectional for only $47 a month, these President's Day savings won't last long, so don't miss out and save up to 20% off or enjoy 60 months no-interest financing with no minimum purchase, happening now at Ashley.
What if you could have reliable and intelligent Wi-Fi? And what if you could keep it at the same price for 5 years? That's the Xfinity 5-year price guarantee. It's Wi-Fi that makes everything in your home work together. It finds and fixes problems before you even notice them. It's super intelligent Wi-Fi with a 6th sense. And that lets you stream the game even when your whole family is online. Just picture it, all your devices working in perfect harmony for 5 whole years. And the best part? No annual contracts, no hidden fees, and Xfinity's best equipment already included in the deal. Take it from me, a lot can change in 5 years. Championships are won, records are broken, dreams grow bigger, but your Wi-Fi, that should stay reliable and the price should stay put. So lock in your price and unlock the possibilities with Xfinity. You can learn more at Xfinity.com. Again, that's Xfinity.com. Xfinity, imagine that. Select plans only, restrictions apply.
If you are looking for exceptional value on some great furniture for your home, the place to go, as always, is Ashley. And now's the time to do it because of their President's Day sale, which is still going. Discover hot buys starting at just $349 or a nice 5-piece sectional for just $47 a month. These President's Day savings will not last much longer, so don't miss out. Save up to 20% off or enjoy 60 months no-interest financing with no minimum purchase, happening now at Ashley. We are back for the second half of the show, a show filled with astonishment here on the PHLY Eagles show. Bo Wolf and Fran Duffy. Let's move on now. Thinking through the other possibilities in round one.
Okay,
I think they would like it to be tackled, but you got to prepare. Wide receiver. I think this would only be if they move on from AJ Brown, right? But
probably
it is also a position that they would be willing to draft in the first round. They have shown that. If in a post AJ Brown world, is there a wide receiver who you think could be the sweet spot at 23?
Yeah, let's say a bunch of the tackles go and there's the run there, so you missed out on that position. Or if you did trade AJ Brown, you have another first round pick there. I think a receiver that does make some sense. He was my pick for the Eagles. In my first mock draft back in January, and that's KC Concepcion, the wide receiver from Texas A&M. Third-year player, so true junior. I think that when you're looking at Concepcion, he's slightly undersized. He's on the smaller end of receiver. He's a movement, like slot type guy. One of the better route runners in this class. Really good after the catch. Dynamic punt returner this past year for Texas A&M. Scored a couple of touchdowns on special teams. Was one of the leaders in touchdowns in the entire SEC. Has not been a one-year guy, though. Began his career at NC State. Produced as a true freshman right away for the Wolfpack. Still produced last year as a sophomore, but the team and he fell a little bit back. So then he ended up going into the portal. Goes to Texas A&M and has a great year. So when I look at Concepcion, Yeah, to me, he's a guy I really like. When you talk about the route running, the yards after catch, the punt return value, I think that there's plenty to like there. I've compared him to Zay Flowers, and that's what kind of like the tier of player where I think his ceiling would be like as a low end number 1, but probably better as like a number 2 type of receiver. And I think that profile is definitely worth drafting in the back stages of round 1.
5'11", 190. Is he is slot only, or can he win on the outside?
I think he can win on the outside. I think there's enough like separation ability, because at the end of the day, when you're talking about like, can a guy play outside, is can he win one-on-one? Like, can he separate one-on-one on the outside? And I think he can.
Okay, and you think he's going to be the second or third wide receiver off the board?
I would say he's probably like the 4th receiver off the board. It feels like there's like a big 3 there when you're talking Carnell Tate, Jordan Tyson, and Mekhi Lemon in some order. And then I think he's square in the discussion after that, maybe as high as 4.
Got it. Okay, now we are not going to talk about Kenyon Sadiq, because my expectation is he's gone before 23.
I think so.
And also, I think Eagles fans already know that he is the guy who would be available in the first round. You have told us.
Let me ask you a question really quick. So, in terms of tight end round 1, how are you feeling about that? The idea of that, are you okay with that? Some people are not.
I am okay with that.
Okay.
I think a couple things about this.
Okay.
One is, I used to be, tight ends take a long time.
Right.
That has evolved,
Yes.
especially over the past couple of years.
Agree.
And I think there are 2 ways the Eagles can go as they move into this new offense. And if you are expecting that A.J. Brown is going to be gone, even if it's next season, then having an elite pass catching tight end is a nice way to go about it, and it makes replacing a superstar wide receiver a little bit easier. The other thing I'm curious about, and we'll get to this when we talk later about the free agent tight end situation, is they could also go the other way, which is, you sign someone who is just a blocker, right? And then you're opening up targets for, how they never throw it to that third wide receiver? What if you then spend $11 million on, I don't know who it is, Jalen Naylor or somebody like that. Somebody who you change the way the offense looks that way. And all of a sudden, you're not worried about the offense runs through AJ and Devontae and Dallas. It's actually 3 wide receivers. I think that's a possibility. But yeah, I think if Kenyon Sadiq is the best player on the board, I think you got to listen to the board.
Yeah. But
how do you feel?
If it's tied with a tackle, like in terms of like tier, even though let's say Sadiq is a higher grade, but it's in the same bucket, would you take the tackle?
It would depend on how close the grades are.
Yeah. I'm looking at
If it's the same grade, I would take the tackle.
Right.
But if it's a truly different grade, I would take the tight end.
So
now Sadiq can block a little bit.
Play a lot of it,
right?
Yeah, like he's a certain kind of blocker.
He's not Brock Bowers,
right? I think he's a better blocker than Brock Bowers,
right?
Personally, yeah.
Okay.
So right now I've got they're actually on the same tier on the horizontal board.
Okay.
Fano, Procter, Maui Noah are all 3 ahead of Sadiq. I have a higher grade, and actually it's like substantially higher grade on Sadiq than Monroe Freeling, the Georgia tackle. But they're in the same bucket. So like, I guess that would be kind of the cutoff there for you. It would be all right. Like it's a much bigger grade. He's a better player right now than Freeling. But
right, I would take those other tackles.
Yep.
But then when you drop a half tier, I would take the tight end.
Okay.
I think you got to listen to it.
Yeah.
Or you take the opportunity and you move back 3 spots.
Right.
So if you're going to spit in the face of your grades, you got to get something for it.
Sure. Okay. Makes sense.
That's how I feel. How do you feel?
That's how I feel about it. Yeah. He's a top 12 player for me, a top 15 player for me in the class. Like I really, really like Kenyon Sadiq.
Yeah. We've talked about this. You and I have talked about this for a decade, but you do all the work. You spend all year long doing the work. You can't then back off all of the work you've done when push comes to shove.
Yeah.
Like that's what the whole year is spent doing.
I was having essentially it was a straw man's argument with somebody who watching the workouts where you're like, well, we're talking about like Sadiq and Sonny Styles and Caleb Downs and Jeremiah Love, and it's the guys at like non-premium positions, quote unquote. And it's like, well, Fran, there's no way that you can take, Mekhi Lemon, because we both kind of agree that Lemon's not to that tier, or like a guy who has a lower grade at a premium position just because of the position they play. And I'm like, yeah. You know what I think is not going to happen? That's not going to happen. I think teams are like have an understanding that These guys are just better football players. Like they're just better. They're better projections moving into the NFL.
A running back is the one.
Yeah,
where I would look away from the grade if I had a top 10 pick. I would not.
Well,
take a running back.
I think the team. I think the structure of the team is extremely important in the discussion.
Yeah,
like the thought of Tennessee taking a running back is ludicrous in my opinion. That is insane.
I have a good Jeremiah Love destination that was floated to me.
Okay,
the Giants.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm hearing that, but I literally was just listening.
Wouldn't that be so funny?
I was listening to a podcast on the way in. We're like, yeah, they are in much better position now than they were when they took Saquon. I'm like, really? Are they? Like,
yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah,
it's perfect.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Oof. All right. Before we move on, before we go to break, let's keep going with these pass catchers. Tight end beyond Kenyon Sneak. Day 2. We have sort of talked about this already. Yeah. But give me day 2 and day 3 tight end possibilities.
All right, so day 2, there's a huge cluster of players. I would say like round 3 through round 5. So I could have mixed these up anyway. But to me, I'm going to go with Joe Royer from Cincinnati. Who
that's a bit of a mouthful.
Joe Royer.
Joe Royer.
Yeah, Joe Royer.
Joe Royer.
Joseph Royer. So when I'm looking at Joe Royer, just
open up the drawer.
I don't have any drawers in my that first hotel.
The washer and the drawer.
When you're looking at Royer, he's kind of like B to B- across the board. So just a well-rounded player, but not elite in any one way. Began his career at Ohio State. Couldn't see the field. Was having some issues there. So ended up transferring. Went to Cincinnati and was productive the last couple of seasons.
Is there a player in this draft class who's been at the same school for 4 years in a row?
Yeah, they're there, but it's not too many. No, it's a prevalent thing now, man. It's all over the place. Will Kacmarek would be my day 3 tight end.
Okay.
So he is from Ohio State, and he is the blocking specialist. So ironically enough, Joe Royer transfers from Ohio State, goes to Cincinnati, so they needed a tight end. So they go into the portal, and they take Kacmarek from Ohio U in the MAC, where he was like prime receiver, move around the formation, but they're like, this guy is 6'6", 250 pounds. Let's put a little bit more weight on him, and he's going to be a blocking specialist for us. And he's one of the best blocking tight ends in the league. He is not a Jackson Hawes. I'm not putting the Jackson Hawes tag on him, but that's what he is. He is like inline presence, dominant at the point of attack, really, really good in the run game, and holds up well in pass protection as well.
Okay. And we were talking before the show about some of these tight end contracts. If like a blocking tight end specialist is getting $7 million, that is why you should draft Spencer Hawes. And so, Kacmarek in the 5th could make sense.
That's it. To me, like that's why when they took Jackson Hawes, when Buffalo took Hawes last year, I was like, that is good value, even though it's like, oh, blocking tight end doesn't give you a lot. That's a valuable player. Those guys get paid in their second contract.
All right, 2 more on offense, and then we'll go to break.
Okay.
Give me the day 3 quarterback who is a Tanner McKee replacement if the Eagles move on from Tanner McKee.
So this is interesting. I would say
I think you've given this one before, but
I think the one that to me makes I feel best about him on day 3 is Cade Klubnik from Clemson. 3-year starter, had a lot of success, won a lot of games, was kind of getting fluffed as a round 1 guy coming into the season. I never quite saw that, but I think day 3, I feel perfectly fine with that. I actually compared him to a former Eagle in Aaron Murray, former Georgia Bulldog. But honestly, if you told me Carson Beck from Miami falls down to day 3. If you told me Drew Aller from Penn State falls to day 3, that would not shock me. And I think that the Eagles would be interested in that kind of profile.
All right. The other one I want to ask you about is, as we've talked about, tackles, you're not going to get them on day 2, most likely. But if you don't take a tackle in round 1 and you want a future Pro Bowl caliber player on day 2 on the offensive line, you can find it on the interior offensive line. Who is the guy who might have that kind of upside?
Yeah, I actually really like this guard class. I think there are a number of guards that you can get really excited about. And Keelan Rutledge from Georgia Tech is one player that I think checks a lot of the boxes that the Eagles typically look for, especially on day 2, where it's like high traits. The guy tested really, really well. He's got high intangibles. He's one of the toughest, nastiest blockers in this draft. Is always given the extra effort in that way. Went to the Senior Bowl, had a pretty good week down there. So again, just checking boxes along the way. Began his career at Middle Tennessee. Was a captain there as a sophomore. Then they had a coaching change, so he transferred. Ends up going to Georgia Tech. He's a really good player, really fun player. If you're looking for tough finishes to the ground, Keelan Rutledge is going to have a lot of those.
Sounds a little bit like a lacrosse player, Keelan Rutledge.
I thought you were going to go with Rutledge. I always feel of what was that? Faulty Towers. So is that I feel like something across the pond a little bit with a Rutledge.
Okay, I could take that.
Yeah.
All right. That'll wrap it for the offense. On the other side, we're going to talk about day 1 edge, day 2 edge, day 1 corner, day 2 corner, and day 1 safety. And we're going to get into the free agent tight end market. A lot still to come on the PHLY Eagles podcast. Stay with us and let us know if there's a tight end you think you want the Eagles to sign if they lose Dallas Goedert. So we got this new boss, and he wanted to talk about the show, and his big piece of feedback, we had a big meeting, and he goes,
I need more A.J. Brown discussion. Talk about A.J. Brown more. People want to hear about A.J. Brown.
And I said, Ray, enough. The people have had enough. That's not the Shady Ray that we're talking about here. Instead, we are talking about our friends at Shady Rays, the wonderful sunglasses company, where not only do they produce great, high-quality product, they've also got the best customer service policy in the game. You lose your shades, guess what? Replaced right away. You want a replacement? You just don't like them that much? Replaced again. So now you can actually wear your sunglasses without fear. You can take them on hikes, take them to concerts, on a boat, wherever it is. Shady Rays is eyewear that has your back. So all you got to do is go to shadyrays.com and use code PHLYSR for 40% off 2 and plus pairs of polarized sunglasses. If you are like the great rapper Kaya and you're just, your neck, your back, you're aching all over the place, how are you going to fix that? Well, you go to Rothman Orthopedics, because if you've got chronic pain or you just picked up a new injury, don't tough it out. Get it looked at by the experts at Rothman. The easiest way to get started, visit rothmanortho.com/PHLY and schedule your appointment today. These are the same specialists that are trusted across the region to treat everything from joint pain and back issues to sports injuries and fractures. Whether it's something that's lingered for months or something that's happened this week, they've got you covered. With the Rothman Fast Scheduler, you can connect with their VIP scheduling specialists for your specific issue, saving time and getting you on the path to recovery faster. So stop living with pain and go to rothmanortho.com/PHLY and book with Rothman Orthopedics today. Back on the PHLY Eagles podcast, Bo and Fran. We're going to continue looking for a couple buckets to fill for Eagles fans to pay attention to as we move forward in the draft process. And then after this, we're probably going to be putting the draft to the side here on the show for a couple weeks.
Unbelievable.
Getting full into free agency. Then we can do our work and try to just play catch up enough to have a conversation with you.
We still have stuff to do. Well, when are you doing your buckets? After free agency?
I was thinking probably because you very generously gave me an early invite to join the pod. I would like to do that.
Great conversation.
Probably at least after I will start compiling it the second week of free agency, hopefully.
Okay. Good to know.
Assuming things calm down.
Got it.
And then maybe the next week we can actually do it.
Like it.
Yeah, looking forward to it. All right, day 1 edge. Now, this is probably in a world in which they let Jalen Phillips walk.
Correct.
And you know what? We have 2 strong foundational organizational priorities that if there's a edge player we feel this strongly about on the board, we got to take him.
It's like the tight end conversation where if like this guy is he's the best player on the board, technically at a position of need because you just let Jalen Phillips go in this situation. To me, when I look at it, the guy that
it's your boy
screams to me is my guy, Keldric Faulk from Auburn. Young, doesn't turn 21 until the fall, until late September. He's been productive in the past. Only had 2 sacks this year, had 7 last year as a sophomore. High character, athletic for a guy his size. I was hoping for a little bit more from the combine, personally. I was hoping it'd be a little bit better, but did go through all the field drills. I liked what I saw from Keldrick.
In terms of testing results, you were hoping
he actually
for more?
did not test at all.
So what were you hoping for?
I was hoping that the field drill. I was hoping he would test, and then I was hoping that the field drills would look a little bit
just
better.
Good, not great.
Good, not great. Exactly. So, but this is a guy that plays with outstanding effort. He can play against the run. You talk with anybody in the SEC, and they'll say, yeah, like he was one of the toughest guys for us to block. You talk to all those teammates, all their coaches, they all rave about Keldric Faulk. So to me, like that is a profile I will bet on. And if other teams are going to let him fall into the 20s, like I will snatch that up if you don't pay a big price tag for Jalen Phillips.
Okay. I mean, I could be convinced.
Yeah. I mean, that's just a profile. Like, again, when you get into the 20s, like, especially in this class, I'm betting on that. I'm going to take a bet on that profile. Okay.
Now, how about a day 2 edge guy? And this is not pronounced like someone in Happy Gilmore.
Correct. Gabe Jacas. Gabe Jacas from Illinois. And it's Similar in a lot of ways to the Keelan Rutledge conversation, where what are some of the markers that we've seen from the Eagles in recent years, where the type of player that they will target in the draft, especially on day 2, a Senior Bowl, tough, like intangibles, upside. I look at Gabe Jacas, who is spelled with a silent J in the beginning, Jacas. But when you're looking at Jacas, really tough and physical. I think that he definitely fits like the dog mentality aspect of things. He fits in a 3-4, can stand up, can play in some odd fronts. I like Gabe Jacas, a former 2-time All-State wrestling champion in high school. There's a lot to like about the profile.
Now, you and I agree that the idea of the Eagles taking a corner in day 1 is a little bit insane.
Yeah.
But if there's going to be someone who is too good to pass up, and all of a sudden you are forming the Voltron secondary and 3 elite players in a 5-man unit, who would that be?
It would be Avieon Terrell, the corner from Clemson. AJ Terrell's younger brother. AJ Terrell, Pro Bowl corner for the Atlanta Falcons. And I think when you're looking at Avieon Terrell, you see a guy that to me looks very, very much like Jair Alexander when he was a first-round pick out of the University of Louisville to the Green Bay Packers. Has been undersized, but he's going to compete his off, and he is going to match every single route at all 3 levels. He's got speed, he's got quickness, he's got competitiveness. I really, really like what I've seen from Avieon Terrell, and to me, he didn't run the 40 at that size. Position workout was as good as anybody. Really, really good position workout. And there was a clip that went up. I want to say it was like midway through the fall. And it was one-on-ones from practice.
Okay.
And he's so good. It was literally watching it. I'm like, man, I love this player. What don't you like? You don't like the size?
Well, I have been with you long enough to know to trust you when it comes to corners.
Right.
But my initial instinct, is
the size. If
I'm going to use a 1st-round pick on a corner when I already have Quignon and Cooper DeJean, I know. Then there better be no question marks. Right. And if he's 5'10", 186, I am a little bit hesitant, but I haven't done the work.
Hold on, I'm gonna keep spin for a little bit, and I'll give you corners from the 1st round in the last decade that were that small. And we'll look at the hit.
Well, then I think it's self-selecting, right? It's like the wide receivers who are slow who go in the 1st round are actually there's a very good hit rate because if they're good enough to go despite being slow, they're probably really good.
What do you want the cutoff to be? 190. We'll say 195.
Yeah.
We'll go 192. That's 20th percentile.
Okay.
All right.
So 1st-round corners under 192?
1st-round corners under 192 and below. All right. Emmanuel Forbes. But we were on the same page there. Nate Wiggins, Devin Witherspoon, hit. Maxwell Harrison last year. Denzel Ward, hit. Adoree Jackson, hit. Travis Hunter. Terrian Arnold. Mike Hughes, probably hit. He was 30th pick. William Jackson was up and down. Sauce Gardner. I forgot that he was that light. Derek Stingley Jr., Jeff Gladney, Kaiir Elam, Greg Newsome, Trey White.
Okay.
It's a pretty good hit rate.
Pretty good hit rate. Yeah. Okay. How about day 2? Is there a guy?
Of course.
I feel like day 2 is I think they're both unlikely, but
yeah. I love D'Angelo Pons, the corner from Indiana. He is extremely small. I didn't know this until the interview, reading through the transcript. There was a pond in Bloomington that they named after. D'Angelo Pond. But apparently they only did it for a week.
Oh, come on.
Give the guy a pond.
That's like the famous Doug Peterson days.
Right. But he is extremely small. But he is so athletic.
I love the comp you have in the guide here.
It's better Mike
Sanders.
Yeah. But we were talking, who was I talking with? I was talking with somebody down at the Senior Bowl, and we were talking about Pons, and it was like, hey, do you think he can go top 40? And I was like, look, Mike Sanders still went top 40. I like Sanders still, but he went that high. I really liked Roger McCreary coming out of Auburn. He went just about that high. And I was like, this guy's tape's better. I really like D'Angelo Pons. Hyper competitive, great ball skills, great instincts. He's just
he is like the Signetti guy.
Yeah, I really, really like his tape, but he is really small across the board.
Okay, all right. Last one before we move on to the tight ends is the other one that if you're squinting day 1, could they do it?
Yep.
I think it would be kind of wild to go rookie second-year guy as your starting safety tandem. But is there a safety who would make sense if they let Reed Blankenship go?
I think if you are doing it for that reason, I think it has to be for a guy that is like replacing Reed from like he's the sheriff on the back end standpoint. Like he's the guy who's going to run the show and make all the calls and like do all that. I really like Emmanuel McNeil-Warren.
Right.
I don't know that he's that guy.
Okay. He's what more? He's
and honestly,
he's more of a Cooper DeJean replacement.
Honestly, like I think he fits in the scheme, in the Fangio scheme, but I wouldn't say that that's like a strength of his game where he's going to be that type of like presence back there. Dillon Thieneman would be, in my opinion, and from what I understand about Dillon Thieneman. So Dillon Thieneman, I think that you plug him in, and he is like I think he's being built like he's gotten comparisons to Cooper DeJean. I don't see that. I think there might be a reason. There might be like a vitamin D reason for it.
He's a white guy.
Yeah, right. I think there's a reason for that. But he is not someone that I think you're going to put in the slot and routinely and say like, yeah, go cover the other team slot receiver. I don't think that's Dillon Thieneman. Now, if there's a play where he's lined up to the boundary and Devontae Adams gets moved inside and runs a vertical route and you get matched up again, kind of like what happened with Reed Blankenship, like. Yeah, like I think he can hang in those kinds of situations. He's a great athlete. He's a better athlete than Reed. So I think he can hang in those situations. I like him more as a top-down safety. I was actually talking with DLLS, with our friends down at DLLS about this, and shout out to Katya. When I was talking to Jeffrey Kavanaugh about it, I was like, I think that he is a perfect fit for Christian Parker. For the same reason, I feel like he's a great fit here in this scheme.
Christian Parker can coach a white safety,
right? I mean, we've seen the proof is in the pudding there. Yeah.
You would feel really bad for Reed if they move on from him and then draft a white safety in the first round, and all of a sudden Cooper DeJean starts being really good friends with him. Ugh, what a heartbreak.
Yeah, that's tough. That's tough.
Yeah, that's brutal.
I do like Thieneman a lot. But I don't see the Cooper DeJean comparison, and I'm probably not as high on him as like the consensus is, but it sounds like he's going to go top 25.
I think this would be
I would agree.
An underwhelming result.
That's why they need to go there. I think offense is the right move for all these reasons that we've talked about.
Yeah. Going through this exercise,
yes,
you feel like offense.
Yeah.
And probably O-line, right?
Probably.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We're going to get into the tight ends because ahead of tomorrow when we're going to do the Quackatology on offense. And by the way, very exciting stuff with Quackatology this year. For the first time ever in the history of Quackatology, which is, I don't know, 8 years running, something like that. The Eagles' needs entering free agency are such that we can actually split it up into 32 players on offense.
Wow. And
32 players on defense.
First time ever?
First time ever.
Who'd have thought it?
Very exciting. So tomorrow will be the offense. We'll go through the 32 players on offense. And tight end to me is fascinating. And I was thinking about it. It is especially fascinating, friend, because when is the last time that the Eagles have entered a season with a free agent tight end as their tight end one?
Hold on. You know the answer?
I went,
you did.
You
Okay.
got to go back. Just think of the torch passing. It goes, it goes Goddard, from Ertz, from Selleck, from L.J. Smith.
Yeah.
Now, this is where it's cheating.
Chad Lewis.
Because it's Chad Lewis, but Chad Lewis was signed after he had already been with the team as a rookie and then left and came back.
Rams?
I think that's right.
I think that might be right.
So, yeah. But I mean, literally since the turn of the century, the Eagles have had a homegrown tight end as their starter.
Rams. Nailed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if that means, it doesn't mean anything, but it's interesting. I still think they're going to hope to draft that person now.
Yeah.
But they got to sign somebody who's a starting caliber player.
Yeah.
And I am really interested in what they do because, first of all, we've talked about it's linked a little bit in my mind to the Jalen Phillips thing. I think if Phillips leaves, maybe you're more likely to bring Goddard back because you don't want to cancel out the comp pick. Although I think that's right. Now there's a report out today from Mike Garafolo that I should read as we prepare for overtime. Are we ready, Katya? We're ready. Let's do it. Join us. I will give you this Mike Garafolo report. If you're watching on TV, you got to click over to allphly.com to find out what Mike Garafolo says about Dallas Goedert. All right, here's what he says. Let me find it. Great tease.
Welcome everybody that was watching on TV.
Thank you for joining us. Okay, here's what he says. With less than a week to start the negotiating window, Eagles tight end Dallas Goedert is positioned to hit free agency for the first time in his career. Sources say the team has expressed interest in re-signing him, and the sides will continue talking in the coming days. However, Howie Roseman has a few balls in the air, A.J. Brown, for example, that are affecting budgeting for his pending free agents. There are some moving parts that could change on a few fronts in the next few days. If he gets to the market, Goedert will have significant interest from other teams interested in the proven reliable eight-year veteran who had career highs with 60 catches and 11 touchdowns last season.
So should we translate that?
Please.
Okay. If they come to terms with Jalen Phillips, then it's unlikely that Dallas Goedert's back.
Yes.
Right. But if they also trade A.J. Brown, although the dead money there, like, that's got to account for something, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I have not thought. I'm pretty sure I was low man on Dallas Goedert's chances returning.
Yeah.
From, when we did spread your not spread your wins.
Flu World Order.
Flu World Order. Thank you. I mean, I would say if you're an Eagles fan and you want Dallas Goedert to return, I think that that's a positive report, right? I think that's fair. But I do think that if Jalen Phillips comes back, that probably shuts the door. And I would think that he's going to have a decent enough market that would eliminate them from being able to.
Now, he had to take a pay cut down to $10 million last year. I think he will make more than that this time around. But it's an interesting group of prospective free agent tight ends. So let's run through them here. Now, Katya, this is the ranking. Here we go. Yes, very nice. So this is all the free agent tight ends as wide receivers. Now, I did add Michael Mayer in here just to see where he stands. And this is in receiving yards per route run and also just total routes run.
Okay.
So of the guys here who are above average in both, it is Dallas Goedert, who's second there in yards per route run, which I was actually a little bit pleasantly surprised by.
Yeah.
Kyle Pitts, who is going to be franchise tagged. Austin Hooper, who's just barely above the line and is going to be 31 years old. Travis Kelce, I think very unlikely. Isaiah Likely, Zach Ertz, who's coming off an injury, and Noah Fant, who's just above the line on those things. And I will get to some other things here because I've been doing a lot of thinking about like, oh man, like, and I'm guilty of this when it comes to like Eagles free agent stuff, like spending a lot of time thinking about the like $3 million players, like you know, Charlie Kohler versus Foster Moreau versus Greg Dulcich. When in reality for the Eagles, oftentimes it feels like Howie and Jeffrey are like passing a joint around, and it's like,
what would it be like if we signed Saquon Barkley, man? That would be so cool. Like, what if we signed Travis Kelce?
Who let Shady Ray into the draft room?
Like they're just star hunting,
right?
But it's funny. So I don't know. Now, if we take Howie, do you believe Howie?
Yes.
When he says he needs to have an evolution at the tight end position and care more about blocking,
I do. I don't take him as when he says things like that publicly. I don't think that that's smoke. I think that's genuine.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
But I also think you can overcorrect.
Right.
I don't think he means like co-keefed.
Yeah, right. I mean, they might sign a co-keeft.
I think they should sign a co-keeft.
I think they should get a Jackson
co-keeft for people who don't know. It has literally never been targeted.
He's never been targeted?
Well,
really?
in the last 2 years.
Okay.
Over the last 2 years, he was not targeted a single time.
But he's a good blocker.
He is an extra offensive lineman.
Yeah.
He is a true blocking tight end. Now you've got guys like Greg Dulcich, who is just a receiver.
First only,
I don't think they're going to be interested in that guy. But Chigo Okonkwo can block a little bit. So we also have this chart, Katya, of now this is I'm trying to find a proxy for like how often are you used as a blocker.
Okay.
And what I use is
fascinating to see what you're going to do here.
Is the no, this is the chart. I don't know if you have that one. Yes. This is the percentage of time that you are asked to pass block.
Okay.
Okay. So I think this is helpful because I'm not getting into grades.
Right.
But this is, if you are on the field
right,
and you're asked to pass block, I think it means you can be you can be trusted, right? We're not going to every tight end has to run block, even if they're not good at it.
Yes.
You know, Grant Calcaterra's run block percentage is very high,
right?
Just because he's the second tight end on the field.
Yep.
But so this is the proxy I use, and so there are only a few guys there, and you know this is it's hard for you guys to see the.
Is that O'Keefe on the?
That's O'Keefe up there.
Right,
Yeah, you see him
left,
like pass blocking when he's on the field, but he's not getting. So the guys who are in that top right section, there are only two. One of them is Adam Troutman. From the Broncos, who is an interesting player. What do you remember of your report on Adam Troutman, and are you aware of what you've seen?
I was high on Adam Troutman. He's honestly he's turned into the player that I thought he could be coming out. He was a smaller school guy who was a kind of like a dual threat player at the position. Could be seen as like equal blocker, equal receiver. He was very from what I remember was like a very productive player in college. But I thought that he had blocking chops. So yeah, that would be. Well, let's keep the conversation going.
Okay, so the other one that's just above the line there is, I mentioned him earlier, Foster Moreau from the Saints. And to me, this is kind of like, I could sort of see it as, this is our cheap solution. This guy could start for us in a pinch, and we can definitely draft over him.
Yep, I think that's right. Here's what, to me, because this is
so.
by
the way, the x-axis here is yards per route run. So you're seeing the top right there is guys who are above average in the efficiency of their receiving ability and also being asked to block.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's 0 for O'Keefe. Okay, what I love about this exercise, and when I mean this exercise, this conundrum that the Eagles are in, okay, where it's you have to remake the entire room, is that there are a lot of different ways that it could go. To me, it's not necessarily about who is the number one tight end, as more of it's like what is the construction of the depth chart. If they go and get a Chigakonkwo, they have to get a O'Keefe.
Right.
When I think of the Green Bay Packers, one of the reasons why Tucker Kraft is awesome is because he is a really good blocker and a really good pass catcher. One of the reasons why Dallas Goedert has been so awesome is that he was a really good pass catcher and a really good blocker, and he was not a really good blocker this year. So if you think that he is going to be a better blocker moving forward, and you have the whys as to why he was not a good blocker last year, it would be really good if the Eagles could bring back Dallas Goedert.
Right.
It would be really good if you could. If you think that last year was an aberration, if you thought it was injury related, being upset about the contract, whatever, and you make him whole and he's back and he's the blocker that he was in 2024 and past that would be great. But I don't know if you can count on it. I don't know that they can get that done. We talked about the likelihood. So when I look at the rest of these guys, do they go the Morrow Troutman route?
It is fascinating from just a process standpoint, and again, it is reliant probably on what happens with Phillips, who we think is sort of the domino to set everything else up.
Yeah.
But is there eagerness to go out the first 3 days of free agency and pick your guy?
Right.
And like, we want Isaiah Likely in our building, or Charlie Kohler, who I am surprised at the amount of money that he's expected to get. But or is it like, okay, there are enough guys who we can squint and see as a starting caliber tight end that we're going to wait until Friday or the second week of free agency, and if we can get Daniel Bellinger for $5 million or $210, then that's what we're going to sign up to do.
And that's, to me, like, I'm looking at it and I'm like, all right, and because we know about like the cohabitation matrix, not to get too far ahead of tomorrow, but like, all right, Josh Grizzard comes from Tampa, and he really swears by O'Keefe. And it's like, oh, let's get O'Keefe in the building. All right, well, you need someone that's going to give you some pass game production as well. So now, if we want to go with EJ's plan and bring in Chigakonkwo to pair with that, that's palatable. But if you're like, oh, like, let's go to Foster Moreau, let's get Kellen Moore on the phone. What'd you think of Foster? You're only in the building with him 1 year. Like, what's the deal here? Oh yeah, we really like him. He was outstanding off the field. Now you feel good about bringing him in, and that's your cheap answer. And then you hope you can get Sadiq. I'm probably less inspired by that. I like Moreau. I like Foster Moreau, but I probably like him more as a 2 as opposed to 3. And so to me, it's like, would you rather have all 3 guys be, or like really the top 2? Would you rather the top 2 guys be Bs across the board, or would you rather have an A blocker with an A receiver and then you're able to pair those guys?
Or is it more about just getting yourself in position so that you can attack whatever happens in the draft, right? So.
Right.
Njoku would surprise me, but let's say you get David Njoku and Kokeeft, and now you can do whatever happens in the draft. Like you've got your blocker, you've got your receiver, and now you're going to replace them both.
And by the way, like Njoku is like not a bad blocker either. Like when he was coming out, like he wasn't like a terrible blocker. And even still, like I would look at him and say, like, if you're going to play in that offense with what Stefanski had built for years, like you've got to be able to block. So I now the age and all that stuff. I think that's important.
And I think one thing that we will talk through tomorrow and Thursday is from Howie's perspective. I think all of these guys, you have to convince yourself and understand why it is that they could be undervalued. Well, how is there a path to getting excess value here?
Yeah.
And Njoku, if he's coming off a bad season and you're just getting one good year out of him, you could sort of see that. Whereas like Cade Otton might be the best all-around player of these guys, but I don't think you're going to be getting any surplus value from what he's going to go for.
Yeah. I mean, I liked Cade Otton coming out of Washington. I thought he'd be a starter. I thought he'd be a 3-down player. What is he going to go for? What do you think the APY is going to be on?
I have a prediction for you here. I've written it down for all the Quackatology players so far. My projected terms for Cade Otton.
I'm just like, so Jake Ferguson just got 12 and a half.
I have 345, 30 guaranteed.
So what's that?
So 15 a year.
15 a year. Yeah, I mean, so the Eagles, just for context, the Eagles just gave Goddard 10 last year. 15 would put him ahead of what Evan Ingram got last year from Denver. That would put him ahead of what Mark Andrews just got. He's an older player, but ahead of what Andrews just got. Cole Kmet just got 12 and a half. I just said Jake Ferguson just got 12 and a half. So you're raising the ceiling on that. I guess that's probably market value. I think so. I think that's probably fair. It's probably the most I would pay for him.
Yeah.
He's a nice player. He's not like dynamic down the seam. He's really good underneath, like really good hands, and he's a good blocker, legit good blocker. They could do worse.
Yeah, but that's your your spend.
And if you're losing, that's the thing is, would you rather? Because I would imagine that cancels the Jalen Phillips contract if Phillips goes elsewhere.
Probably.
You're not right.
Maybe, yeah, probably because
that would be big enough, I would think.
Well, it then depends on Nakobe and
because Nakobe,
because I think
they could be in that same bracket.
Yeah,
yeah. Because Nakobe, I think
could go for about the same. It's possible,
right? Yeah, but doesn't, and I don't know the comp rules as well. Doesn't it take out the top contract?
I think it's however it's however it's the positives, negatives, right, and then you cancel out by where they are.
Okay, so if it's
but
a
you
tier,
can't
it's on a tier.
So let's say Otton's a 4th round level, Dean's a 5th round level, Phillips is a 3rd round, and I think it does cancel out the 3rd.
That's what I thought.
But I think if it's 3rd and a 4th, then I think you would still get the 3rd.
Okay.
I could be wrong about that.
Right.
Sam Lynch will yell at me if I'm wrong, and please do.
I can't wait for Monday. Monday will be fun.
I know it's going to be very exciting. If you are still tuned in this deep into the episode, hopefully you know that on Monday we've got a 3-hour opening of free agency extravaganza, 12 to 3 at least. We'll maybe continue if Eagles news warrants, but yes, very exciting start of free agency. Howie's going to do some interesting stuff. It's very interesting.
Do you really think so?
Yeah.
Do you think it's more likely that we're doing a Jalen Phillips emergency pod, or that he's going to do something that like I don't want to say like Saquon Barkley, but like that catches us off guard on Monday? Yeah, like I think it's more likely we're doing a Jalen Phillips emergency pod over the weekend.
I think that's fair. I think that is probably fair. I just if I'm Jalen Phillips,
you want to hit the market?
I want to hit the market.
The best day of his life was when he got traded to the Eagles.
Best.
I mean, I didn't say it. I didn't say it. He said it.
Best thing that's ever happened to me. Katya, you got to know. He said this. He got traded to the Eagles. This is the best thing that's ever happened to me in my life.
His what?
His fiance is pregnant with their child. He's slated to get married this offseason. But this is the best thing that's ever happened to him in his life.
The baby hasn't been born yet.
Right.
Yeah.
So it could overtake it. But up until now.
Yeah. I don't know.
move like that like sets him up to support the baby. For
Sure. I then asked him because he got traded.
Right.
He got traded right before the bye week. So he missed his bye week. This is the best thing that's ever happened in my life, but I did miss the bye week. And he said he was supposed to go to Cabo with his fiance, his pregnant fiance. And I was like, oh, so are you gonna let her go?
So he missed the baby moon?
Get the time. He's like, hell no.
That's funny.
That was good. So like the video, by the way. I mean, not as many likes as I would like to see right now on the video.
I think you're right. And let us know if there's a particular tight end that you're interested in the Eagles going after. I'm going to really quickly read them all to you. Tell me if there's one that just hits your ear. Okay. Charlie Kohler.
I'm just picking one. Or just if I hear one I like.
Yeah.
Okay.
Daniel Bellinger. Stone Smart. My favorite description for a dumb person.
I'd be fine for it, but yeah. Okay.
Foster Moreau. Austin Hooper. Adam Troutman. Isaiah Likely. Dallas Goedert. Greg Dulcich. Kyle Pitts. Noah Fant. Tyler Higbee. Zach Ertz. Cade Otton. Chico Conquo. Travis Kelce. Tyler Conklin. David Njoku. John Fitzpatrick. Josiah DeGuara. Jack Stoll. Durham Smythe. And Kokieft.
Jack Stoll, for sure. For different reasons. But the thing is with the Jalen Phillips, if they bring Jalen Phillips back, then I want to go top of the market with Likely or Otton.
Oh, interesting.
But if they lose Jalen Phillips, then I think I want to play it cheap.
Yeah.
So that's not as I want to get the third round pick.
Okay.
Isaiah Likely is he's like the lowercase version of Kenyon Sadiq. I think it's the same archetype of player. Like he's really athletic. When he was at Coastal Carolina, he would go up on linebackers and safeties and bury them into the bench. Like really fun blocker, and that's kind of what Sadiq is. But obviously, he fell to the fourth round.
And Isaiah Likely to me is, you can convince yourself that even though we're paying a good amount, this guy has never been truly featured as the number one. We think that there was a lot more to come still for him.
Yes, I can
see that.
He's the Rodney McLeod type of free agent that they've signed in the past, where it's like a good player that we think can be a really good to great player. I think it would make sense.
Yeah. All right. Looking forward to it. EJ's in the chat. That means he's ready for tomorrow's episode of Quackatology. 32 players on offense. I got them bracketed, seeded them based on projected total guarantees. Never been done before in Quackatology history.
Poor Lindsay making all the graphics.
He's so poor Lindsay that she's going to need some help from Ethan.
Yeah, I mean, poor Ethan.
Tune in tomorrow to find out which former Bo Wolf Camp Crush has made it into Quackatology.
Oh.
Very exciting. What a tease.
I think I know.
That'll do it. Thank you, Fran. Thank you, Lindsay. Thank you, Katya, for helping us behind the scenes. We will talk to you tomorrow at 2 o'clock as Quackatology 2026 begins. Don't miss it. And as always, we love you.
We all silly like the mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But I don't get to produce something anymore.
I get to